Hi there. I'm Carrie Hodder, and I'm here with Ian Callahan today.
Hello.
Welcome to Paint Shop TV. I am the marketing manager here at the Paint Shop, and Ian is our Benjamin Moore rep for Newfoundland and Labrador. And as you can see, we've got this door set up. It's actually my own front door, and we're going to paint it today. Exciting. I know, people might not think that painting is all that exciting, but I really do get excited about this stuff, Ian.
Yeah, and front doors are a tricky little job, right? It's something we want to look perfect and nice and smooth and no imperfections. So it is tricky to take some time. These tips today are really going to help the people.
Excellent. I'm really looking forward to getting some tips. I am not an expert at all when it comes to painting stuff. Ian has probably forgotten more than I will ever know when it comes to painting. So I think I'm in pretty good hands here today.
Right on. Great. And as we're talking, please fire in your questions. Okay?
Yeah, we've got lots of questions coming in already, actually, before the broadcast even started. So that's great. And we've got Stephanie Dunn here going to be asking us the questions on your behalf, I guess, on the air. So tune in for that. We're going to be answering some questions throughout the broadcast here. We've also got Jim Desatel helping us out today, and John Clark and Caroline Clark as well. So thanks, guys, for your help. Much appreciated, as I am so excited to get my new front door. So, Ian, what do I do first?
So we have a nice brand new front door. It's a beautiful door. I like the style you've chosen. It's going to be great to work with. The first thing always with any paint job is to wash down first. So TSP wash is the most common one. TSP stands for trisodium phosphate. It's a good oil and grease cleaner and clean off any dirt or mud or anything that might be on the door.
All right, I'm going to let people know we actually already cleaned this, so you're not going to watch me clean the whole thing, but we did do it a little earlier today. Yeah. So I'm just going to get a little bit more dust off there that I see. And of course, after we use that, we have to wipe down with a damp cloth.
Yeah, any type of cleaner you use, you want to wash off with some clean water afterwards.
All right, there we go.
Want to make sure the cleaner is totally removed.
That is done like dinner.
Right
now,
on.
Ian, what's next?
Okay, now we want to scuff up the door. So right now there's a factory coating on there, so a factory primer we'd almost call it. Even though it's a fiberglass door, it still has a coating on there that we call a factory primer. That factory primer can be left without paint, but we want to paint this door for cosmetic reasons and curb appeal. So we take a sand block and go on the rougher side and give it a good scuff, the whole door. So you're scuffing up the surface in order to open it up for the next coat, for the paint coating to adhere properly. It's very important.
Probably picking that up on my microphone.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm just going to rough it up a little bit. And now, if we were to use a primer, this door is already pre-primed. If we were to put our own primer on it, would you have to scuff it up as well?
Gotcha. Yeah, we still suggest to scuff it up either way, but if you're really against sanding, we have a great primer called Sticks. Sticks is a super adherent, problem-solving, really good adhesion primer. So you'd use this on the surface, same steps as you would for painting, the same type of roller, the same type of brush, water-based product. You just put this on with great adhesion to your door.
All right.
It's nice. So to scuff up, people really they hate the term sanding, so we like to use scuffing. It makes it sound easier. But to prepare a door like this, to wash it would take you 5 minutes and then let it dry. And then to scuff it up would only take 2-3 minutes to scuff up the door. We'd knock off the dust afterwards with a damp rag and we'd be ready to go. It's really, really important to do this step.
Now, Ian, if there's anything Atlantic Canadians love, it's a good scuff and a scuff.
Right.
So there you go. Thank you very much for that. That's already done. What's next, sir?
Yes. Awesome. So now we just take a dry rag and just kind of wipe off the dust so there's no dust. Very important. Otherwise, the paint would stick to dust and it wouldn't give you proper adhesion to the door. But it's nice to notice how quickly this happens when the environment's ready. So right now we have it all set up, cleaned it properly, wiped it off. We're going to be painting in no time, which is really cool.
We do have a question from Angela Tucker. Is it a steel door?
In this case, it's fiberglass. But whether it be steel or fiberglass at this point, if it has a factory primer on it, that's what we care about. If it happens to be a bare steel, whether it be galvanized, or ferrous or non-ferrous metal, like a treated metal or untreated, we'd probably go differently with a different kind of paint or a different kind of primer to start. But whether this is steel or fiberglass, it doesn't matter because it has a factory primer on there.
Awesome.
Great question.
All right, now, can I open the paint yet?
Open the paint, please.
All right, I'm really excited about this color, too. Tell everyone what we've chosen.
Well, most important is we've gone with the Aura Semi-Gloss. So when talking about sheens for exterior, traditionally, you'd go with a semi-gloss or something shinier on your front door, whether it be a gloss or a semi, and that draws your eyes to the front door. Then for the rest of your exterior painting, Normally you go with a low sheen or a low luster finish. And that's just the common way to draw the sheen to the front door. We've gone with Hawthorne Yellow, which stands for color number HC4, which stands for historical color. So it's in our historical collection. It's a nice soft yellow. It's going to make this door look really good.
And of course, named after the Hawthorne Cottage out in Brigus. I was just
right
there
on.
this past weekend. So should I pour the whole thing into?
No, I'd pour about half in. And then you want to get your roller in there and get your roller moving around it. It's called conditioning your roller. So your roller is dry, so it's going to take a bit to condition it. The roller I've got you to go with today is called a Worcester Red Feather. The Worcester Red Feather is my favorite for giving the smoothest finish. So it has its own system. Sorry, all the shops have it. It's very good to work with. It leaves a nice, soft, smooth finish when it's done.
So should I start with the roller or should I start with the brush?
I'd always start with the brush
Okay,
brush where you have to, and then what will happen is the roller will make it as smooth as possible. Okay. It's hard to get a very smooth finish. You always get brush marks when you're using the brush.
Can you pass me one of the brushes there behind you?
You got it. So today we're using our paint shop line, the Silks brushes. I like the 2-inch brush for a job like this.
Okay, now I do not know how to hold the brush properly either. Seriously, I don't.
Well, I don't know.
Correct?
Yes, they're automatic. These brushes are automatic. They're not standard. So,
and these are actually smaller for a woman's hand too. Is that
well,
right?
I wouldn't judge it to a male or a woman, but me personally, I would use a 2-inch brush on here as well because you're getting into a lot of nooks and crannies in there. Okay. Again, you've done the hard part. You've spent probably 20 minutes taping this door, and that's the tricky part. So what you want to think is, where can the roller not get to? And you're going to want to roll it. You're going to want to brush everywhere the roller can't get to.
All right.
So you might want to work out of the can and hold the can there.
I will do that then. Thank you.
We do have a question from Caroline Clark. Do you have to worry about what color you pick for exteriors? And do some fade faster than others?
Yes and no. So how many colors do we have now, Stephanie?
I believe it's more for vinyl safe or just exterior?
Just for exterior in general.
More than 3,500. 3,500
colors. So of those 3,500 colors, there might be a few that give you a warning at the store level. But for the most part, almost all of our colors are fine for exterior. If we talk, there might be a few that fade, but with a high quality product like Aura, the chance of fading would be almost zero. It's got a lifetime warranty as well.
Excellent. Thanks.
Why did we choose this paint in particular, Aura? Because, we have so many different kinds of paints here available at Benjamin Moore.
Right on.
Why did you suggest that I use Aura today?
Well, it's on sale next week. I've heard that.
It is. It's actually going to be on sale as of this coming Friday.
Awesome.
Our Aura exterior paint is going to be $10 off per gallon, and the same thing with our vinyl siding.
Really?
Yeah.
No, you keep painting. Stop looking at the camera. It's very important. You want to work as quickly as possible because exterior, these latex paints, as they get healthier, they start to dry quicker. So it's very important to get the brushwork done as soon as possible so that the rolling part can smooth out all the brush marks. So I'm going to keep her moving. Okay. So we chose the Aura because it's very good coverage, very good to work with. The Aura semi-gloss has a nice glow that will really draw eyes to the front door, which we want. Very good durability, the lifetime warranty. It's just my favorite product to work with for sure.
It's a beautiful buttery color too.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really showing nicely. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'm putting this on a little bit too thick, I think, so I should probably
smooth
it out a little more.
The most important thing for you is speed. You just keep going because the roller's going to take everything for us.
All right, perfect.
We do have another question from Cynthia Bennett.
Yes.
If your door is previously painted, should you scuff it up before applying new paint?
Yes, always. 90% of the time we're dealing with a water-based, so latex paint existing now, and we put in latex paint on top. So it's always nice to follow the same rules, no matter whether you're painting a bathroom, you're painting kitchen cupboards, you're painting a child's bedroom. It would be wash the surface, then give the surface a light scuff, and then start your painting.
Awesome.
Is that good?
That's perfect.
Wonderful.
Okay, sorry if I'm blocking anybody's view.
You just keep painting.
This is turning out lovely.
You're doing all the hard work here.
You keep painting.
I'm sure anybody out there that's watching is not really surprised by the fact that someone's got to tell me to stop talking because I am
right on. Beautiful.
We do have another question they're coming in, which is excellent. So, Suzanne Holt, is it better to paint with a brush or spray the door?
Well, spraying the door is always your ultimate surface. A thing like a front door, why you want it as smooth and as nice looking as possible because you're right at it. It's not often you paint something and when you get home, a foot away from the surface. So a front door you're always at, you're looking at, you're going through, you got keys in your hand, you really beat up a front door pretty good. So a sprayed surface would be incredible if you have if you're able to do that, right? So if you have the sprayer and you're able to have an area where you can contain it and have the right heat and humidity, and then spray with that door, sprayed finish is always our ultimate goal. The Worcester Red Feather, I find, is the closest you can get to a sprayed finish while still using a roller. Now, I should say, some people, there's no wrong roller for painting a front door or painting a bedroom or painting anything really, but a lot of people go with a whiz roller, I call them. They're a bit thicker in fabric. Not a problem to use this roller at all. I just find using the Worcester Red Feather gives you the smoothest surface when you're done. That's what I'm most happy with.
And it's velour, is that right?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Velour.
Interesting. Not just for gym teachers' tracksuits anymore.
You keep painting.
I am painting. Someone had mentioned there about the doors being sprayed and stuff. A friend of mine had once said that she couldn't spray her front door because she had already painted it with a brush and a roller. Is that true? Not
necessarily true. In that case, instead of doing a light scuff to get it smooth, she in that case she'd be sanding it pretty well to get that surface back smooth. Okay. Multiple thin coats make the smoothest surface. And to get it smooth in the end, you want to be smooth the whole time. So even after this coat's done, it takes 4 hours to dry. And then what we'll do is a very gentle sandpaper on top, just to make sure it's as smooth as possible before we apply the finish coat.
Went outside the lines, Ian.
It's looking very good. That's okay.
All right.
So speaking of coats, John Reardigan asked, if you want to give your door a second coat, should you sand between coats?
Well, yes, that would be ideal. But again, John, the term sand might be a little too heavy. So if this paint has a 1 hour dry to touch, a 4 hour recoat, but it's a 7-day cure. So cure is when you get that's when your paint's the strongest. That's when it starts its life, right? So if you're in between your coats, you just want to do a very, very, very gentle scuff with, say a very soft piece of paper, like a 150 or something like that. You don't want to harm the coating that's still curing. You just want to get it cosmetically as smooth as possible.
Perfect.
All right, Ian, I think I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, great term. Yeah.
Am I ready to roll?
Yeah. So the only thing I'd suggest is when you have a full roller, you want to put that in a larger area. And then as you work to the edges, make sure your roller isn't as full, but you'll get a feel once you get going. So you started brushing at the top. Yeah. So you might want to start up that high and get going there.
I'm a little short, so I do need a stool.
Right on.
Like this?
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
Ooh, look at me.
So a Kelly Way.
You could always turn it sideways once if you want to.
Should you always take off your door handles?
Pardon me?
Should you always take off your door handles?
A best practice would be. Otherwise, again, because you're really close to a finished door, if you had to brush around the handle or tape, brush around the handle and then roll close, you'd always see that just because you're always so close to a door. If you do take it off, we all have our phones on us. Just take a picture because sometimes you put it down and you forget how it went back together. So take a quick picture of the inside and the outside. It's really cool.
Perfect. Yeah. Interesting question, actually. Christina Metcalf, can you use steel wool before you start painting?
Definitely. Steel wool, whether sandpaper, steel wool, they're all abrasives, right? So the key is wash the surface, abrade the surface, fancy word for sanding, or steel wool. Steel wool used to be used a lot more in our industry, but now sandpapers have really evolved and they're very universal. It's hard to beat these sanding blocks, but if you're going to use steel wool, it always leaves the dust of the steel behind, so make sure that's fully cleaned off when you're done.
Perfect.
That's a great question.
Yeah, that was a good question.
This looks gorgeous. I am so pleased with this color.
When you're finishing, you always want to be up and down. If you have to sneak the roller sideways, and then always finish up and down. Very cool. And get in there everywhere you can. Very nice.
So Angela Tucker has another question.
Yes.
She has been soft gloss finish, 100% acrylic, premier exterior latex paint.
Right on.
Is that good for my front door, which is a steel door?
Well, the question I'd go back with, is it a steel door or is it a coated steel door? Most common, we get customers in the shop saying they have a steel door, but a lot of times these doors would have a factory primer on there, and we could go with that. So with that coating you mentioned, if it's a coated steel door, like has a factory primer on, that would be fine to follow the steps we're having today. But we'd love you to switch to Aura if possible.
Aura is really our best exterior paint, no?
Yeah, it's our best interior and exterior paint. Really good product. Yeah.
And especially it becomes so affordable when you're doing something, a small project like this,
Yeah.
like just a door.
Yeah.
You're not talking about doing your own house or your whole house.
Yeah.
So it really does make sense to get the best paint that you can actually get when you're doing a small project.
Now, if I can throw a tip your way, just nice, strong, nice, long rollers. There you go.
Ooh.
See, paint dries very quickly, especially in our environment. It could be hot and humid outside, or it could be a little bit cooler. So nice, long strokes, nice, long, comfortable strokes doesn't leave brush or roller marks.
Is that good?
You have to think, yes, you have to think it's drying quickly. So in this room here, we're probably dealing with about 22 degrees. It feels like 100% humidity right now, but it's probably more like 75. So we got this room to pretty good conditions. At your house, just watch the humidity. Over 80 is a bit of a naughty. What will happen is your paint will dry on the outside very quickly, but it won't dry inside. So it'll actually feel dry quicker, but it'll take longer to dry because it hasn't really dried underneath. So that 4-hour dry time between coats could turn into a 6 or an 8-hour dry time. So you change this to a 2-day project. You know, it's not crazy to have your door open and maybe put plastic outside. That way you can control your heat and humidity inside. You know,
what is the perfect temperature to paint a door, since it is, you know, technically you're outside while you're doing that?
Oh, in a perfect world, 18 degrees with 60% humidity, you know, no direct sun. Hot direct sun and winds are accelerants. So what they do is dry the paint quicker than it's supposed to dry. You want paint to dry on its own. You don't want to speed up that process.
Okay.
This looks really good.
Yeah, it does. What a difference.
So much better than the plain white.
Yeah.
So much
Enjoy.
better.
Let it flow out. Enjoy, please. There you go.
We have one of our social media.
I'm gonna have to get you in a different room, or like a bedroom painting, because I want you to go top to bottom, nice and easy, right? And get some flow going.
Okay, we have a new question. So, best recommended tape for seamless edges.
Wow.
Really?
Well, the one we're using today is frog tape. I found it very good. Again, we're in a controlled environment, which it feels a little humid now, but when they put it on, the AC was on, so it's not too bad. Tape is a tricky thing. All the painters, everyone has their favorites, definitely, but the frog tape seems to be a very good name that we work with. What's that? Okay.
We had a social media post recently where Stephanie, I believe you put it up, and people say that painting your front door is kind of like putting on a necktie.
Yeah, that's right. It's a necktie to your home.
Pop of color. I often thought, I've got a red front door right now that I'm about to replace with this one, and I often thought that it looked like kind of like a coat of lipstick on the house.
All right on.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It's fun to have a little bit of personality and character.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolument. I can't believe how fast this was. I thought that it was going to take me a long time to paint this.
Yeah, well, you did all the proper prep
Yeah.
steps. The actual painting should be very quick when you're ready. I noticed you
Mhm.
haven't been going to your phone, so no text today, which is wonderful.
Ooh.
So
Not going to stop in the middle of this.
it looks really good. So the dry time on this paint is 1 hour to touch dry, but it's 4 hours for recoating. So that's something you certainly want to watch for. In a perfect world, you'd be doing your first coat around 8 in the morning, 8 a.m. You know, you'd prep it the day before, and at 8 a.m. you put your first coat on. Then you'd be working on your second coat around 12:30, midday. And then so you'd be dry around 5 o'clock for your actual dry time, and you'd be able to close the door. It's not always the best case because, you know, we're not always just waiting to paint our door or waiting around to paint our door. So we will show you some tricks on how to close this door, best practices to close this door as well.
Doreen Williams Dillon has a question. Which paint gives the best coverage?
Well, that's a lot of that is Doreen.
Yeah.
Okay, hey Doreen. A lot of that is color related. So there's no right or wrong answer, but if you were going with a really bright electric red or you know, a very bold yellow, at the store level we might say, okay, you know, this may take an extra coat. Or if we're going sometimes with the cleanest, crispest whites, the brightest whites like Chantilly lace or simply white, we might say, look, slow down. You know, we might have to do an extra coat with this color because just to get that crispness of the white out of it. So at the, you know, extreme at one end or the other, you may run into something where we'd want to talk to you beforehand or just say this might take extra, but there's no you know, there's still 3,000 other colors that would be very happy with 2 coats, even with a smooth roller like this red feather. Oh, cool!
Awesome.
You're done.
Yeah, I am.
Let's
I've
see
got
your
the
hands.
first coat done. Not even too bad. Just a little
Right
tiny bit of
on.
paint.
Okay. So this looks really good. So there is tape on this door. So there's a couple different ways you want to think about it. You can either, the best would be to remove the tape after every coat and put it back on. So you just wait for this door to tack up in the next 5-10 minutes, then you'd remove the tape. We've decided here we're going to leave it on and go for the second coat. That's fine. So we put the second coat on in the proper time, and then we let that dry. And then what we do is when we're going to take the tape off, we take an X-Acto knife, a very sharp X-Acto knife, and just zip those edges. Otherwise, the paint will get stuck between the tape and the door and pull off.
Right. I've seen that before, actually, painting things at home myself. I leave the paint down for too long, and it's so hard to get off, and then you end up tearing some of the paint off with the tape.
Yeah, so it's a quick X-Acto. You're just trying to slice the paint. You don't want to slice right through the substrate. It's really cool.
One thing I haven't painted yet, and I wanted to get your recommendation on this.
Yeah.
Over here, excuse me.
Yeah.
Should we be painting the inside of the door right here?
So in my world, yes. So when you open the door, if you can see that front face, you'd coat that with the exterior color. Whereas the far side would be the interior color. So whatever you're doing on the inside, because that shows inside the door when the door is open.
I'm going to paint this then.
Yeah. So be very gentle. So just with the roller.
With the roller? Okay.
Well, in this case, yes, because we've already taped off, but no new paint, because we don't want the new paint to come over the edge. You just want to roll that softly. Next time on the second coat, we'll do that side first. Okay. Yeah, but we forgot today. See, the front of the door is already drying. So if we touch that now, we're going to leave texture marks and it's not going to look right. We can always fix it on the second coat. But ideally, you want to do all that hard stuff first and then come around back to it.
The last time my door was painted, my front door was painted, when we painted it red, it was dandelion season. And all of the dandelion little fluffy things were blowing all over the neighborhood and got stuck in my door.
There you go.
So that was not great after the first coat. We had to sand it big time and do it all over again.
Do a fresh coat. Very nice.
So something to consider. Something to consider for sure. This is turning out great.
Nice.
So excited.
So keep it a little more my way. We're just getting a little bit on the inside edge. That's okay.
What is that? Fluff.
So at this point, the coating is on. Remember, it's a 1 hour to touch dry and 4 hours for recoating. So what that does is makes us start to think about closing this door tonight. Again, the paint dries, but it doesn't cure. So the full cure time would be a week for this, or 7 days for this paint. That's when it's fully cured and ready to take all your full use and abuse. During that cure time, we still need to be gentle with the door. So a couple different ways to go. You know, we could put the hinges on today if we were finished, but in this, we're doing a demo. So what I always suggest to do is take some frog tape. And what we'll do is we'll apply it to the inside of the weather stripping.
Smart. I seem to remember my parents using some sort of oil.
Yeah, so an old painter trick used to be vegetable oil. We put vegetable oil on a rag and just wipe it on there, and the latex paint won't stick to that. But in this case, we're going to use frog tape, just one nice thin bead top to bottom, and then our door will be able to close before it's the full cure time. Okay, so what I would do is I'd put my tape on, and later when I have to close the door for the night, I'd come down and close the door. If I'm going to be up an hour or two later, what I do is just open the door and close it again just to break that seal. And first thing in the morning when I wake up, I'll just open the door and close it. And again, even on the second day when you're finished, if you can open that door a crack and let air get to the parts that are sealed, just to help the paint cure, it'll be great.
That's some great tips.
Nice.
So I guess, Ian, how long before you can close the painted door from when you first finish it?
In ideal conditions, 4 hours. Okay. 4 hours or more.
Perfect.
Okay? But still, I'd use the tape anyway.
Yeah, great question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. Well, now we just sit here and watch paint dry for 4 hours.
Good times.
I'm just kidding. We're not going to watch paint dry for 4 hours. We will all get back to work shortly after this broadcast is over. But Stephanie, any more questions coming in there today?
Yeah, there's another one here. Let's see. If you paint over another color, what prep is needed?
I do the exact same thing. No matter what, any paint job, whether it's a bathroom, a kitchen, exterior siding, kitchen cupboards, it doesn't matter. Always do the same thing. So wash the surface, make sure it's clean, free from any dirt or oil or grease or debris, and then give it a good scuff first, and then go right on top.
All right, so I see something that I did. That's a mistake here now. I see a paint drip. Should I go over the roller with that right now?
Because it's the first coat, yes. I noticed it, but I wasn't going to say anything.
Right.
We were just going to sand it off. So
Can I go over it right now?
dry as possible.
Dry as possible.
Yeah,
well, I didn't put any
that's okay.
on there, so that should be okay.
We have
So what this will do is leave a blemish on the first coat, but when we're doing that light scuff for the second coat, we'll just give an extra scuff on that area.
All right, I think it looks pretty good other than that. Do you see any more drip?
No, definitely. Looks good.
Okay, good.
So another question from, Ian Barrett. How do you paint doors without brush marks?
Okay.
Rollers.
So take off, prepare as much as you can. So get tape everywhere you can. In this case, we've got the tape on the windows. We've got tape down below. We've got our taped off hinges. So get it as prepared as possible. Then take out your hardware. So your door opener, and then sand it as smooth as possible. So as you saw Carrie do today, you brush where you have to very quickly, and then get everywhere you can with a roller. So even where she brushed today, she still went over it with a roller. So everywhere you can get that roller eliminates the brush mark. So working quickly and getting over top of those brush marks everywhere you can. We even got into the cracks and crevices here, and that's what's very important.
Okay, I didn't actually go over it with a roller around the grill there, so I
On the
should do
second
that
coat,
now?
we will.
Okay.
No, nothing now. So
Okay.
right now, paint's drying. If we touch partially dried paint or tacked up paint, all we're going to do is make a mess.
Okay.
Okay, it would leave it textured and rougher feeling, and just wouldn't do it. But it's just
Same
stuff we'll learn for
fingernails.
the second coat.
Yeah, same
Definitely.
thing will happen when you touch your fingernails, right?
There you go, like your
That's
fingernails,
right.
everybody.
So let's talk about sheen. Should the door be gloss or semi-gloss?
Traditionally, yes. So traditionally, you have something with a bit of a gloss towards your front door. We do sell a lot of high gloss for this, but semi-gloss seems to be our most popular.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And you can choose any color you want for your front door, can't you?
Yes, you can. There may be some limitations on extreme dark colors or bold colors and extreme crisp, clean whites. But again, at the store level, we'll certainly make you as happy as possible.
Have you ever seen anybody make a huge mistake when it comes to their front door? I mean, you've been at this for a long, long time.
Oh, totally. And the biggest problems occur when you take too long to paint your door. So if it's you take a phone call halfway through, or you don't prepare it properly or something like that, if you roll an area and it partially dries, then you roll another area over top, it leaves rough marks and just imperfections in the paint and stuff like that. It can get really bad because paint dries so quickly.
Okay.
You want to work as quickly as you did today.
All right.
Yeah.
Our coworker Steve was just up here just before we started the broadcast. Actually, they said, "Oh, you're going to give me inspiration to finish my door painting," and he started
definitely.
about 2 years ago.
Oh, really? Oh, perfect.
Yeah, we should have just
He's
done this
dead.
at Steve's house. I'm sure his wife would have been
Hey,
happy
Steve,
with
the
us
Aura's
as well.
on sale this week.
Yeah,
Did you
as
hear?
of Friday.
Yeah.
Check that out. Yeah, again,
Yeah.
our exterior and then vinyl siding paint going to be on sale for $10 off as of this coming Friday. So
Right on.
that's per gallon.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
we still have a few more questions coming
Great.
in. So what would be the reason why your door would be sticky after painting?
Well, there's a couple different reasons it can happen. Stickiness would occur when earlier I was talking about humidity. Sometimes if we paint over that when it's too humid, the paint can dry outside in. So even though the outside feels dry to touch, if you put your hand there for 5-10 seconds, you get like a pull, right? And that's trapped moisture underneath that coating. So that can happen when it's too humid. It can also happen when it's too windy. So if the wind is blowing across the surface, it'll dry the coating faster on the outside in, than it would on the inside. That can leave that stickiness too. Third option would be, well, there's a few other options, lack of prep, the door wasn't washed, the door wasn't scuffed first, all that stuff can happen too. But third, so I said humidity, I said wind, I said direct sun would be number 3.
Mm-hmm.
So if the direct sun is hitting a fresh coat of paint, it would dry it on the outside quick and leave that tackiness underneath. If it happens on the first coat, we're all okay. So what we do is we let it dry a little bit longer. So instead of our 4 hours, we might let it dry overnight just to make sure we have the right, we want the best results. So to get the best results, sometimes we have to change our rules a little bit. And the next morning, what we do is scuff up the door a little harder. And what that would do is break up the film a little bit and let that moisture escape. So we'd scuff it up, let it sit for 2 hours so that moisture escapes. Then we put our second coat on to finish it.
Excellent. That makes
Wow.
a whole lot of sense.
Right on.
Do you think it's better to actually paint the door while it's on the hinges, and in your door frame, or would it be easier to take it off and kind of do it in your garage or something?
Well, if you have the ability to put some sawhorse in your garage and get it out there, and it's beautiful to have lying down. As you saw, we had a few drips in a few areas, right? So if you had it lying down, it'd be even better, right? So you'd want to take it there, get it fully dry, and then reinstall the door. It just, if you're able to do that, it would be incredible.
And if I hadn't caught that drip,
Yes.
say beforehand, and it dried like that, which I hate drips like that.
Yeah.
You can sand it down, and it's not going to take
That's
the
it.
whole drip off, like rip it off kind of thing.
No, it just depends. Each one's a little different, but paint when it's dry, it's very hard to sand. So a drip would be pretty tricky, but we'd want to scuff it pretty good to get it to something you're happy with and before we move forward.
All right.
Yeah, great.
Cool. Question from Denise. How much paint is required for a door with 2 side lights?
Okay. Usually, it's hard to say because usually it's square footage, but when I was a painter, 1 quart of paint would do 3 doors, 2 coats.
Wow.
So I think 1 quart would do your, I don't know the size of your side lights, but I think 1 quart would be plenty for 2 coats on that area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
There's also a product that we have called the Command product, which we didn't use because that doesn't come in quarts, and we were just using a door.
Yes.
We were just painting a door, so
Right on.
that's why, right? Because you can only buy that by the gallon.
Yeah,
kind of
it's
thing.
a commercial, more of a commercial focused product, but it comes in gallons, but very quick dry time. If you're really worried about dry time, at the store level, we can get you into a product that dries in 20 minutes. You can put on 2 coats within the hour and then put the door back in use in no time. Very quick blocking. So very neat product.
Cool.
Another question from Rebecca Winter. Which paint is best for wooden doors?
Same thing. So water-based paints or latex paints, they have a lot of flexibility. So whether it be a steel or fiberglass door with a primer on there, or a wood door that would have different flex levels than steel or fiberglass, it would still be the best. So if it's bare wood, we'd get you into a primer first, whether it be sticks or we have Aqualock or Fresh Start as your base on a bare wood, and then we'd move forward from there. The Aura semi-gloss would still be a perfect paint for that.
Great. Perfect.
When it comes to rollers, I know that we did use that velour one. Is
Yes.
there a wrong type of roller that you could use for this type of thing?
Too thick or too hairy would
Okay.
leave more like an orange peel finish. And that's fine on some substrates or some areas where you're painting, but on front doors, you want them to, they start so smooth,
Right.
you want to finish it as smooth as possible. That's why I like the Worcester Red Feather.
Yeah, that was lovely.
Yeah.
Really nice to work with.
Very cool.
I will ask this question. What is the most common color to paint your front door?
What you should do is go on the internet and Google front door colors, and there's probably only
Yeah,
two or three million suggestions on there.
Yeah,
I am not
absolutely.
touching that one
Yeah.
with a
I
10
will
foot
have
pole.
seen, though, Heritage Red has been a pretty nice color for front
I've
doors.
seen red is good.
Yeah.
And I've seen red is a horrible thing to have on your front door.
That's
So
right.
I don't know.
We do have interior decorators on staff, though.
Yeah,
so
ask
you
the
can visit
internet.
folks,
Yeah.
they'll
Yeah.
do a good job.
And that's a really good point, Stephanie. If you don't know what color you want to paint your front door, bring in a picture of your house and show our interior decorators at any of our stores and say, help me pick a color, and they will definitely help you pick out something beautiful.
Or online too.
Yeah, or online
Yeah.
as well. And I've got a gray house,
Yeah.
so I think the yellow front door is going to look really pretty with that.
Very cool.
That's right.
Very excited to get this hung up at home in my house. And it's going to give me a little bit more light than I have right now. So yeah, it's going to look lovely. And once it is hung at the house, after we get a second coat on it and stuff, we will put pictures of it up on social media.
Yeah, that's right.
Very nice.
I think that about wraps it up.
Okay.
Awesome.
And any questions that we did miss, we will answer. And this video will be posted on our Facebook page. So
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much. My name is Carrie Hutter, and this is Ian Callahan. And we're here on behalf of the Paint Shop for Paint Shop TV. And stay tuned for the next episode. Who knows what we'll paint next. Thanks.